Last year alone, more than 20 million cosmetic procedures were performed. But behind those numbers are stories no one really talks about. Do you remember the women who once lit up Hollywood screens in the 70s, 80s, and 90s? The faces we believed would stay beautiful forever. Today, we're looking at some of the most iconic beauties in film history and the moment everything began to change. Some stories will surprise you. Others might break your heart a little. Now, here's a name that truly deserves more recognition. And if you recognized her instantly, you already know how unforgettable she once was. Donna Mills became a television legend as the brilliantly calculating Abby Cunningham on Knots Landing. In the golden age of 1980s primetime drama, Abby wasn't just another character in the story, she was the reason many viewers tuned in every week. In her prime, Donna had a beauty that felt incredibly precise. Her features were sharp and balanced, almost like careful architecture. The jawline was sleek and perfectly defined. Her cheekbones lifted just enough to give her face a sculpted elegance, and those famous cat-shaped eyes carried a spark of intelligence and danger. That look alone helped transform Abby Cunningham into one of television's most captivating villains. Women across America noticed it immediately. Makeup counters were filled with fans asking for those Abby eyes, hoping to recreate the dramatic liner and confident gaze that had become Donna's signature. But as the years passed, something about that razor-sharp structure began to change. The crisp angles that once defined her face slowly softened, replaced by a smoother fullness that blurred some of the features audiences remembered so clearly. The shift wasn't dramatic at first, but longtime fans could see that the precise elegance of her earlier years looked different. Donna Mills has rarely addressed any cosmetic speculation publicly. She has chosen quiet over explanation. And yet behind the scenes, there was always more to her story. Donna wasn't just the glamorous villain on screen, she also had real creative influence over Abby Cunningham's storylines, helping shape one of the most memorable characters of the entire decade. Next comes a woman whose look became so recognizable that it eventually turned into her entire brand. Rinna first captured audiences as Billie Reed on Days of Our Lives, later bringing that same bold energy to Melrose Place, and eventually to reality television on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But long before the headlines and reality show drama, Rinna was known for something very specific: her smile. In her early years, Lisa had a bright, natural beauty. Her features were balanced, her complexion glowing, and her wide smile gave her a friendly, approachable charm. But it was her lips that truly set her apart. Full, expressive, and instantly recognizable, they became her signature feature almost overnight. What many people didn't realize is that the story behind those lips began very early in her career. At just 24 years old, after watching the film Beaches and becoming fascinated by actress Barbara Hershey's pout, Rinna made a decision that would define her appearance for decades. She had permanent silicone injected directly into her upper lip. Over the years, however, that silicone didn't behave the way anyone expected. It slowly migrated and hardened beneath the skin, eventually creating the exaggerated shape that fans would come to associate with her. Unlike many celebrities who avoid discussing cosmetic procedures, Rinna has been unusually candid about it. She openly admitted that she had gone too far at times, even describing the silicone as feeling like little peas trapped inside her lips. Eventually, she underwent reconstructive surgery to remove some of the hardened material. And in many ways, her willingness to talk about it honestly became just as memorable as the lips themselves. And now we arrive at the name that sparked more conversation than anyone else on this list. Because when it comes to shaping modern pop culture, few figures stand as tall as Madonna. For decades, Madonna wasn't just a superstar, she was the blueprint. the artist who constantly reinvented herself, setting trends instead of following them. In her prime, her beauty carried a bold, unmistakable energy. She had strong, confident features, a defined jawline, striking brows, and piercing eyes that seemed to challenge the camera rather than simply pose for it. There was nothing soft or generic about her look. It was powerful, rebellious, and entirely her own. But over time, that familiar face began to change. The transformation reached its most talked-about moment during the 2023 Grammy Awards. When Madonna stepped onto the stage, many viewers were stunned. Her cheeks appeared dramatically lifted and full, her jawline softened beneath noticeable volume, and the sharp structure that once defined her face seemed hidden beneath layers of cosmetic enhancement. The internet reacted instantly. Social media filled with comparisons, debates, and endless speculation about what procedures might have been done. Yet Madonna herself responded with the same defiance that had defined her career. She pushed back against criticism, making it clear she had no interest in apologizing for how she chose to look. But behind the headlines, another quiet chapter followed. According to reports from aesthetic professionals, Madonna later underwent treatments to dissolve some of the excess fillers. In more recent appearances, her face appears noticeably more balanced. And in a strange way, that moment revealed something deeply human, even for a pop icon who once seemed untouchable. Now we slow down for a moment because this next story feels very different. It isn't dramatic in the way Hollywood scandals usually are. It's something quieter, and in many ways, much sadder. Kim Novak was once the ultimate Hitchcock blonde. Her haunting performance in Alfred Hitchcock's 1958 masterpiece Vertigo turned her into one of the most unforgettable faces in cinematic history. She had a beauty that felt mysterious and deeply elegant. Her softly sculpted cheeks, luminous skin, and perfectly arched brows gave her a timeless quality that seemed almost untouched by trends. There was something effortlessly graceful about her face. It didn't look manufactured or overly polished. It simply looked real. And that authenticity became part of her magic on screen. But in 2014, when Kim Novak stepped onto the stage at the Academy Awards to present an award, the reaction from the audience was immediate. Viewers around the world noticed how dramatically her appearance had changed. Her face appeared unusually still, her cheeks fuller, her lips visibly treated, creating a look that felt unfamiliar to those who remembered the natural elegance of her earlier years. What made the public reaction so difficult, however, was everything people ignored. Kim Novak had already lived through far more than most Hollywood stars. She survived breast cancer, she endured a severe horse riding accident, and she spent years quietly managing bipolar disorder while living far from the Hollywood spotlight. By the time she stood on that stage, she wasn't simply an aging actress. She was a survivor. And perhaps that deserved far more understanding than she received. After the heartbreak of Kim Novak's story, the next one takes us somewhere a little different. Because when people think of classic television beauty from the 80s and 90s, one name always rises to the top: Heather Locklear. From her unforgettable role as Sammy Jo on Dynasty to the fierce and manipulative Amanda Woodward on Melrose Place, Heather had a presence the camera simply adored. With her feathered blonde hair, sparkling eyes, and naturally high cheekbones, she carried the kind of effortless glamour that defined an entire era of television. At her peak, Heather's beauty was sleek and polished without feeling artificial. Her jawline framed a bright, confident smile, and her features had that perfect balance Hollywood cameras seemed to fall in love with. She was the kind of actress who could walk into a scene and immediately command attention. But in recent years, longtime fans began to notice subtle changes. The sharp elegance that once defined her face gradually softened. The clean structure of her cheekbones appeared fuller, creating a noticeably different look from the woman audiences remembered from the height of Melrose Place. What makes Heather's story stand apart, however, isn't simply the change in appearance. Unlike many celebrities who avoid the subject entirely, Heather has spoken openly about the challenges she faced in her personal life. Over the years, she battled addiction, struggled through difficult periods, and ultimately focused on recovery. And by 2025, she began reflecting on those years with a new sense of honesty. Because sometimes the most powerful transformation isn't physical at all. Sometimes it's the courage to say, "I went through something and I came out the other side." From Heather's story of reflection and recovery, we move to someone who did something almost no one else on this list was willing to do. She told the truth. French actress Emmanuelle Béart was once considered one of the most naturally captivating faces in European cinema. She rose to international fame with films like Manon des Sources, where critics described her beauty as almost otherworldly. Her features were delicate, yet striking, clear, luminous eyes, soft skin, and a face that carried the quiet elegance of a classical painting. When she appeared in Mission Impossible alongside Tom Cruise, American audiences discovered that same mesmerizing presence. Béart had a look that felt timeless rather than trendy, the kind of beauty that didn't need enhancement to stand out. But something happened very early in her life that changed everything. At just 27 years old, Emmanuelle decided to have her lips injected. What followed was not the subtle improvement she expected. Instead, the procedure went wrong, permanently altering the natural balance of her face. Years later, she spoke about it with remarkable honesty. She described the decision as a grave act, admitting that when you make such choices, you rarely understand the full consequences. Rather than hiding from the experience, Béart turned it into something powerful. She began speaking publicly about the risks of cosmetic procedures and the need for stronger psychological evaluation before people make irreversible decisions. In an industry where silence is often the rule, Emmanuelle Béart chose transparency. And that courage may be one of the most striking things about her story. From Emmanuelle Béart's rare honesty, we move to someone who chose the exact opposite path: silence. Total silence. In the early 1990s, Lara Flynn Boyle had one of the most striking faces on television. Audiences first fell in love with her as Donna Hayward in David Lynch's cult classic Twin Peaks. With her pale porcelain skin, dark hair, and razor-sharp cheekbones, she carried a look that felt mysterious and unforgettable. There was something almost fragile about her beauty, yet it had a quiet intensity that made the camera linger on her. After Twin Peaks, Boyle continued building her career with roles in films like Men in Black 2, and later as the powerful attorney Helen Gamble on The Practice. During those years, her appearance remained one of her defining features. Her high cheekbones, expressive eyes, and delicate facial structure gave her a distinctive elegance that stood apart from the typical Hollywood look. But over time, something about that delicate structure began to change. The sharp angles that once defined her face gradually softened beneath a noticeable fullness. Her lips appeared more pronounced, and her cheeks seemed dramatically expanded, altering the natural balance that had once made her face so unique. For many longtime fans, the transformation felt startling. What made the situation even more mysterious was Lara Flynn Boyle's response, or rather, the lack of one. Unlike other celebrities who addressed speculation directly, Boyle chose privacy. She stepped away from the spotlight and offered no explanation. And perhaps that silence only made the transformation feel even more haunting, leaving fans with memories of the distinctive beauty they first discovered in the strange, dreamlike world of Twin Peaks. From timeless icons to shocking transformations, these stories remind us that beauty in Hollywood has always come with enormous pressure. Behind every famous face is a human being navigating expectations, aging, and impossible standards. Which transformation surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. I read every one of them. And if you enjoy stories about classic Hollywood legends and the truth behind the spotlight, make sure to subscribe and join us for the next video.